Hello everyone, my name's Bernie and I'm here to take you through a few things I've learned on this forum since we picked up our beautiful leader. But first of all, I'd like to say this forum has been great for information while we've researched our purchase, and also I think that Gary and Shana and Daniel and Daisy do a fantastic job with moderating this forum, and the advice you get is really useful. But anyway, let me run you through a few things that will help if you're a newbie. And this is for a family-based van. We're not talking about a heavy off-road or a lap around Australia. It's basically what we would use for weekend touring. So the first thing is, you need to get one of these babies. What happens is that caravans use a 15 amp lead. These are these orange leads. This converts the 15 amp that you get at caravan parks to a 10 amp power supply, which is your domestic supply. So what you can do is, if you've got one of these, you can hook it in, you can run it to your van, and then that way when you get home, you can let it run, and it can power up your fridges and keep everything running, recharge your batteries, etc. So well worthwhile. Next over here, we've got an ammo box. Bought this from Super Cheap, 39 bucks. You can buy the brackets as well, drill a couple of holes and bang-o. I put my tent pegs in here and also my tent ropes, awning ropes, those sort of things. So really easy to get to, really convenient, and really well worthwhile. All waterproof, it's a winner. What I would suggest is locking up your spare wheel. Just get a simple bike lock, chuck it through there, hook it to your bumper, just keeps the honest people from stealing your wheels. Walk around the van a little bit more. One thing you don't get is when you get your van, you don't get the connector that goes to your sullage point. So when you buy your sullage hose, just go to Bunnings and go to the plumbing aisle. It's a plumbing connector that can just screw straight into that fitting. So just make sure you get your sizes right when you go, because there's a few different sizes and it took me a couple of trips to get it right. The other thing that I learned on the forum, which is a really good little hack, is pool noodles. So what I've done, as I said before, this isn't a heavy off-road van. If you've got the territory, then all of the sheathing will probably be on your pipes already. But if not, what you can do is you can just wrap pool noodles and cable tie them around. Now, it took me about $6 to do the whole van, but it's just a good little way to stop any stray stones from flicking up and cracking all your plumbing. Because as we know, there's nothing worse than cracked plumbing. Okay, locks. There's an old saying that motorbike riders have, and that is, if you've got a $10 head, buy a $10 helmet. Now we've got about an $80,000 van sitting here in the driveway, so I reckon if you can't afford to spend a couple of $100 on protecting it, then you maybe should reconsider. What we've done is we bought this Nemesis. It's a really good lock. As you can see, it's heavy duty. It's quite intimidating. It stands out like dog's doodles. And as you can see, I've got it on the driveway side. So as people are driving through, if there's anyone just cruising around looking for opportunities, they're going to see this and they're just going to go, nah, that's a bit too hard. They'll find an easier target. So well worthwhile. Keep going around the van. Okay. One thing that I found is that this is called a wet boot. It's called a wet boot because you put wet stuff in there and it's supposed to drain. A lot of people don't like the fact that a wet boot gets wet and the water gets in it. So what you can actually do to reduce that is, if you go to Bunnings, you can buy this beading, and it's self-adhesive. You can run it along the seam here and it just gives you that little bit more protection when the hatch is shut. Now, it won't stop the water 100%, but it certainly really cuts it down. All right. A couple of other things that we learnt. The jockey wheel. We've upgraded our jockey wheel. We've used this Boss lifter. It's a fantastic unit. The jockey wheels just feel really unstable, and a lot of people report a lot of problems with them, and you don't want to get stuck somewhere with a jockey wheel that's failed. This cost about 300 bucks, which is a lot of money. I thought, oh gee, that's a lot of money for a jockey wheel. But let me tell you, after using it, I would not go back. It's so recommended. So all you do, you hook it in, you put your drill bit in, and you can raise it, you can lower it to whatever height you want, and it's on a really stable setting. Very tough. If you want to stop and do something, you just let your drill hang there, do whatever you want to do, come back, and bang-o, off you go again. Highly recommended. The other thing is, we made a mistake. When we bought our van, we were thinking about, oh, we've got to save some money, we can't buy everything. And we went with the standard tow ball hitch. Now, we have currently got on order what's called a DO35 hitch. If you're thinking about getting a van, upgrade at the time of purchase. The reason is that even though we're not doing heavy off-roading, the DO35 just allows the van to move more and track in its own direction. Whereas with this, it's really quite fixed. Now, the other thing is it's a safety thing. If the van was ever to fall over, on a DO35, it's going to pivot on the hitch. Whereas with this, it's going to take the car with it. So for the sake of an extra sort of 300 or 400 bucks, it's well worth upgrading at that time just for that peace of mind, even if you're not doing heavy off-roading. The other thing I'd suggest is put brass fittings on your hoses. A lot of caravan park water runs at quite high pressure, and if you're using plastic fittings, it can easily blow off. So what I'd suggest is just go spend some money, get some brass fittings. I actually got these from Aldi. They were really quite cheap, but it just gives added strength. Well worthwhile. Also, blocks of wood. Really important. Go get yourself some blocks of wood. You can get them at Bunnings. I got 3 of these cut. It was about 40 bucks all up. They're not pine, they're hardwood. Don't get pine because pine will split if the weight's under it. But these are good for putting under your jockey wheel on uneven ground. They're also good that if you have to change a tyre on the side of the road, then you can put your jack on it and it'll give you stability. It'll also give you height. When you're not using them, just bang them in the storage tray along with your hoses and you're good to go. All right, we'll walk around a little bit further. Keys. These are the keys to the van. They're going to be your biggest frustration. So what you can do as a tip is the highest one you put separate. So this is your front door key. It's the one that you use the most. Put it on its own individual one so that when you're holding it, it sticks up the furthest. Now, you can find that even if you're coming home late from the pub. So the other thing I do is I run my keys in the order of the van. So the second, what they call yellow key, is your front boot. Then if I was to run around the van from there, all the locks run in the order as I walk around the van. So it makes it really easy to find the key that you're after just by looking at the way in which the keys are ordered as you go around the van. All right. In here is an anti-flap kit. If you're thinking about should we get one, shouldn't we get one, get one. We ummed and ahed about it because it was an extra 600 bucks, but let me tell you, it's money well spent. It will give you real good peace of mind if it's a bit gusty and a bit windy, but the other thing is you just won't get any flapping of a night time, so you'll get a good night's sleep as well. Well worth doing. Get a good toolkit, super cheap. That was only a couple of bucks, 70 or 80 bucks. And the other thing is, as a tip, get the 3 tools that you use the most. Now, it's usually a spanner, a Phillips head, and a flat screwdriver. Just hang them so they're easy to reach. So if ever you just need to grab something, you can open it up, you know where they are, and bang, off you go. All right. A step. Sounds simple. Yeah, we've got to pull out step. But let me tell you, get a good step that you can use just to move around the van, to put your anti-flap kit on, to do those little bits and pieces. And you want something that's stable. So, you know, again, Bunnings, a couple of bucks, well worthwhile. When you're not using it, it just sits inside the door. Let me talk to you about lights and bugs. These lights come and they're clear and they're white. That's standard. You can pay a fair bit of money extra and you can get yellow put on a separate switch. Or you can do what we did, and that is you can go to Super Cheap and for $8 you can buy some what's called lens tape and you just chuck it over the top of these lights. So what that does is two things. It dulls the lights, so it's actually quite nice to sit out here of a night. It's not blinding you. But secondly, it keeps all the bugs away as well. So rather than spending $400 or $500 putting them on separate switches, $7 from Auto Cheap, and off you go. All right, muck mats. These things are awesome. I learned about these on the forum as well, and they are great. They just capture everything as you go in. They're so good that I bought another one that goes on the bottom here. So really, really worthwhile. Come into the van. Fusion locks. These things have got the following of their own. What they are, they're shelving units that you can use that are actually held on by suction. So they're not screwed, there's no glue. You just pump them and they suck on and they stay there, and they are really strong. They're fantastic. You can use them in the kitchen, you can use them in the bathroom. There's a forum that's got its own following just for suction locks apparently. So yeah, well worthwhile. Now, the other thing that we found a lot on the forum was colour choices. People asking like, you know, how do we choose our colour choices? We're not sure. Well, we went with what's called opal. It's a light colour and it's neutral. It's white cupboards, very, very neutral, very plain. Now, a lot of people would probably say, oh, we need to go with more colours to get our money's worth. And we were a little bit like that at the time. But let me tell you that less is actually a bit more. Like, we are really happy with our choice. And the reason for that is that it's really light, it's really bright, but it's also neutral. So when my wife decides that she wants to have a change, she can go to Kmart next spring, and if the mustard, turquoise, unicorn prints are in fashion, she can buy a whole load of them, come back, put a throw on, put a pillowcases on, and bango, we've got a whole new look. So I think it works. It works for me, it works for her, happy days. Okay. Fridges. We went with a compressor fridge. Now there's a lot of debate as to which is better. Do you go compressor? Do you go three-way gas? Our own experience is we've had three-way fridges before and we didn't really have good experiences. Compressors are cold. We're happy with it. What they do, if you go with a compressor fridge, they upgrade your batteries to two 120 amps, and that will give you more than enough power. We've been off grid a couple of times and we've had no problems, so we're really happy with that choice, but each to their own. Okay. Looking at the bathroom, again, you can see we've got some of the fusion locks, the shower caddy, we've got the toilet holder. We've also, in here, you can see I've put a pool noodle around the shower hose. That's just to stop it banging against the thing when we're travelling. And also there's a bucket at the bottom. That's just to take the shower head off, and we put it in there just as we're travelling, just to make sure it doesn't fall down. So, again, just a simple hack. Dunnies. Right. We've tried a few different dunny chemicals, and let me tell you, this is by far the best. There's a few out there that say smell great, but they stink. I reckon this is by far the best. If you're the one that has to do the dunny run, then I'd highly recommend this baby. Anything else, you'll be gagging, I reckon. All right. So the only other thing about inside is we chose to flip the kitchen. Normally with the Leaders, the kitchen comes on the off side and the lounge is here. The reason we did that is we just wanted to have an outlook from the lounge through the door, and also we felt it was handy just to pass things out through the awning if you're cooking a barbie or whatever. Now, by doing that, the only thing that you lose is that your seat space is about that much shorter this side than it would be on this side. that's the only real compromise. As far as I'm concerned, it's a winner. The other thing is we requested bigger windows in both the kitchen and both the lounge. Now, they're a little bit bigger, but they make a world of difference. It's something I reckon, as a tip, you should look at considering. All right, let's go out to the car. We're just about to wrap up. Just a couple of things from the vehicle side. The first one is the Caravan comes with a Safety Dave unit. It's a video camera on the back of the van, and as you can see, we've got that mounted on the dashboard. Anyone who doesn't use this, I cannot understand why. It's fantastic. It acts as a rear view mirror. It's got volume. You can hear people giving you directions if you're backing up. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. But it gives you great visibility. I would highly recommend it. It was about 140 bucks to get it hooked up from an auto electrician. And finally, weights. One of the biggest headaches I found through research was trying to work out if you're going to be okay with your weights. The first thing we did after we got the van was we hooked up Easyway here on the Gold Coast, and we loaded our van up and we took it up and we got it weighed. Now, as you can see, all of those figures are green. We're really happy with that. We've got heaps of weight to spare, and we know that we're compliant, that we're insured, and that we're safe. And if we're pulled over and we're asked about our weights, I reach in my glove box and I say, "Yeah, mate, have a gander at that." And he'll have a look, and hopefully he can see that we're doing the right thing, and we'll be on our way in a jiffy. So that's about it. I hope that helped. Thanks for your time, and good luck. Happy journeys.